What's up, everyone? So I have a question for you. If one day someone from the future came up to you and said that he or she is you from the future and that all your dreams and goals have been achieved and you don't have to worry, and then he just disappeared, how would you feel? How would you act differently? This is simply a thought exercise to get you thinking on how you would behave differently if you knew your goals were going to happen. And also to question if you really have specific goals. And I think that's something else that most people don't have. They have very vague goals, and when even if someone told them your dreams came true, it would have been something very vague, like I was rich. Well, what does that mean? What does rich mean to you? Is it $1 million in the bank, or is it just $100,000, enough to get the small things in life that you want? So those are elements of this book I want to review and talk about today. It's called The Ultimate Guide to Mental Toughness. And I think this book is really interesting because it brings a lot of these messages and interesting ideas to you. Another really cool one is this concept of most of your material goals already exist. It's simply about you getting there. And what he means by this is that that mansion or house you wanted already exists somewhere in the world. Someone's already built it, and that might not always be the case, but still, that's pretty powerful. Or that girl that you want to date already exists in this world. She's already born and she's doing something right now in this world. And so, you know, that's really cool, and you can start going to these places before you can afford them, just to, you know, feel it out and really get it in, program it into your subconscious, and just say like, this is gonna be mine one day, and this is what it's gonna feel like, this is what it's gonna taste like. And when you actually see it, it's really gonna motivate you more to succeed. So when I got this book and I started reading it, I assumed it would be on mental toughness. And if you don't know what mental toughness is, it's basically your ability to keep going each time you get knocked down. Because the world can be a very cruel, unfair place. Believe me, you know it, I know it. And some of the most successful people, it's not about how great they are, it's about how many times they get knocked down and still persevere and keep going despite the world or their circumstances or their life telling them that they cannot succeed or they failed so many times. And if you think like people like Elon Musk, who put every cent of his net worth into getting a rocket into space, and then he failed his 4th rocket launch, and then he barely scraped up enough money to do his next rocket launch, which ended up succeeding. How do people like that never give up and just persevere? How do people like that not get knocked down when times get tough? So that's what this book, I assume, would talk about. There's a lot of techniques in it that I assume would be there, but then there's some that were like, what's going on? The whole first half of this book is actually not on like mental toughness at all. It's all about having a very detailed picture of what your goals are and visualizing them, and really understanding what motivates you to the highest of levels so that you can keep going. And I just find that very interesting because a lot of it correlates with a lot of the stuff that Napoleon Hill says. Napoleon Hill, he studied over 500 of the wealthiest people in the world, including billionaires, in person for over 25 years of his life. And he wrote some books that have been bestsellers and sold millions of copies on how they achieved wealth. And a lot of stuff Napoleon Hill says, it's all about us, like this visualization that this book talks about a lot. And this book takes it to an extreme level. So he has all these exercises in the book that make you really go to extreme level of visualizing. Like he has all these exercises in the book that make you write out in detail what your goals are. So it's not just, oh, I want to go on vacation to a beach one day. It's, oh, I want to go to a beach. I know how the sand feels. I know the color of the sand. It's white. The turquoise sky is there. And then he has you map out like all the interactions that you have with people, all the events that take place before and after the occurrence, and that really just visualizes it in your mind, which is a huge part of what Napoleon Hill says. So it's like you actually have to walk out in your mind how the airplane flight to the beach will feel like. Oh, it's gonna feel like this. Oh, there's gonna be a crying baby in the car, or there's gonna be someone who's slightly annoying next to me on the airplane ride. Or, you know what? It's great because I see the view right now, and I see the turquoise blue ocean before me, and we're about to land. And I think that's really cool because most people don't take it that far. Most people have very vague goals, and if you have vague goals and no definitive plans, you can't walk yourself into something concrete that's within your control to get there. So if you don't want to depend on luck, and if you want actual strategies to get there, you can't be vague. You have to be specific to a certain extent. I mean, you don't have to be too specific where it's crazy, but sometimes it helps a lot to do so. And for example, if your goal is another $500 extra in earnings this month, with that specific goal, you can start walking back plans to achieve that. Oh, I can mow the lawn. Oh, I can start the side business. Or if you want to make it $1 million, you can make it concrete and specific. You can actually start mapping out steps to get there, such as, oh, to make $1 million this year, I need to do something that's scalable to get there. So I need a big idea, or I need to start the side business and turn it into a bigger business. And those things are actually concrete and definitive versus something very vague like, I just want to be rich. Well, what does that mean? And I think partially a lot of people keep it vague on purpose because they fear getting specific because they don't want to put in the hard work to get there. And because of that, they'll always remain in their situation, because with vague goals, you have a vague plan that doesn't get you anywhere. And I think this book is great because it just goes into depth about a lot of the key points that Napoleon Hill says in his books. But it takes it to an extreme level where they really walk you through exercises to get there. Another one is just a certain level of confidence that you will get there. Like it's not even I want $1 million. It's not even I will have $1 million. It's I'm gonna be rich. I'm gonna have $1 million in my bank account. And you're so confident that it will occur that it sort of just changes your wiring and beliefs and perspectives so that you can already see it in your mind, and all those limiting beliefs that hold you back and might block you from getting there on a mental level, like, oh, why I can't afford this, or I'm not the person to have that in your $1 million, they get washed away. So I just find that really interesting because you would assume this book is more on like Navy SEAL type techniques, like you have to be tough, you have to do 100 push-ups, you have to expose yourself to environments where people knock you down and mentally abuse you. But it's incredible how much of this book is focused on visualizing and really knocking down those goals that will motivate you so much. And one tip I have for you is I've noticed that a lot of these super successful people have motivations beyond just money. And whether it's Steve Jobs, who loved computers so much, or it was Elon Musk, who cared more about getting to the moon than making billions of dollars. He cared more about helping people, and he knew the money would come with that, but it wasn't his primary goal. Because their motivations were beyond just money, it pushed him through the tough times, because money alone as a motivation is usually not strong enough of a motivator to get you to achieve high-level goals, like big game-changing goals. So keep that in mind when you're deciding on the goals of your life.